Again, thank you everyone for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about job searching as a recent grad during COVID-19. We have a lot of great information from you. Let's start off, my name is Emilio Lorenzo. I am the Associate Director of Employer Relations for Nova Southeastern University, and I'll let my co-presenter also introduce himself.
Hey, I'm Johnny Kevorkian. I'm a career advisor at NSU, and I'm also a proud Shark who graduated undergrad and master's here at Nova. So go Shark.
And I also graduated my master's here. You have two Sharks speaking to other Sharks. We're going to be covering a lot. I asked that if, unless you have a question, if you could just please mute yourself. That way that there's no background information, background noise, or anything distracting. So guys, if you could please, if you can mute yourself if you're on the call today and you're not presenting.
On the right is actually how diabetes affects a kid. Just a small illustration of.
Hi, whoever's someone muted.
I'm trying to do it on my end of. Perfect. So we're all set up. So now that we've introduced ourselves, today's topic, navigating your job search during COVID-19 as a recent grad. I know it can be very difficult during this time navigating the job search. And honestly, a lot of industries have been affected by COVID-19. But we're going to talk about how to navigate that, staying positive in your job search, leveraging your resources, and just knowing how Johnny and I and our whole office can support you. We are the Center for Academic and Professional Success. We are formerly Career Development and Academic Advising. Recently, we combined our offices into one. And so we have a whole list of resources available to you as students and alumni. And that's something really unique. Our office, our services are available to you no matter how long ago you graduated. So, academic planning, resume review, job and internship resources, coaching you on game plans for your applications, grad school planning, and anything in terms of your branding. So your LinkedIn, your interviews, your salary negotiations, accepting or declining offers, all of those different pieces. I think a question that I get, especially my role as Associate Director of Employer Relations, I work with employers directly. I build relationships, I cultivate relationships, I create opportunities. And so I have my ear on the industry trends very heavily. And I think a question I get from students and alumni all the time are employers even? And I think that question is mixed. Some are, some aren't. Some are taking it week by week. Some are gathering applicants now, preparing for a push of hiring down the road. But obviously it also has to deal with the location. In some locations, COVID-19 hasn't affected as much, or it's, calmed down. And so it's been easier for individuals to find opportunities. But there's not one answer to this, and this is very fluid situation. But even here in South Florida, where we've been affected heavily by COVID-19, there are a lot of employers that are still heavily recruiting. Now, obviously, some industries affected more than others. Tourism, management, and marketing have been more heavily hit than public administration, healthcare, getting into public health, or even a lot of other business organizations that are essential. But just know, and Johnny having being in the advising team and me on employee relations, we have a number of opportunities that come through our office every day, and they don't just come in from the healthcare route; they come from a variety of different industry. So the answer to this is yes, 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 but it's important to understand that it fluctuates based on location, based on the company, based on the industry. But the best thing you could do is prepare yourself, organize yourself, and leverage your resources. You can only control what you can control. And we're going to here to talk about what are those pieces that you can control.
So a little bit of overview. So we're going to talk about where do you begin, how to identify, skills and strengths and self-assess yourself. We're also going to go over all the different resources that our office offers tips on how to really navigate your job and internship search. We're going to talk about informational interviews, which are going to be great to really learn about your field and from other professionals in the field. Networking, which is huge. How to stay engaged during this new normal of virtual events. How to prepare for those virtual career fairs, such as Recruiter Shark Week, which we'll talk about more, which is coming up. And how to prepare for a virtual interview, which for a lot of us is completely new.
Guys, these are just some of the things we're going to be talking about today. And when you make an appointment with an advisor, you can dive deeper into these conversations. However, being on this call today, on this webinar, feel free that as we're talking about certain points or going through slides, don't hold your questions until the end. If there's something that we're talking about or that you are interested in, please don't hesitate to unmute yourself or send a question through the chat box. We want to make sure that this is helpful for you and help you with this next step in your career.
So where do you begin? You begin with you. So it's important to self-assess and know yourself. So as you begin your job search, ask yourself, what are you interested in? What in your field do you love? What areas, maybe a friend that works in it, that'd be like, I want to do what they do. So identify your interests, your skills. Let's say you're in marketing. You think, okay, I know my skills are, I'm able to, to sell something to somebody, creativity. So identify and talk to others about your skills and strengths and let them know, because if you can talk about it with, friends and family, you'll be ready to talk about it with an employer when they ask you in an interview. Then also identify your short versus long goals. So definitely know what you want to do, immediately, and then think, how do I want to grow? Where do I see myself in the next 5 years? And things like that. That's so important. And then especially right now, how urgent is your job search at the moment? So, you may need a job right now, or you may just be looking or in the beginning steps. It's important to keep track so you know how active you should be and how much preparing you should be doing in the job search. And then imagine what your ideal job would be like. Think about the environment. Like for me, before I work somewhere, I always look at their social media. I'm like, do they look fun? Do they have things I like? Or if you look at their website, some of their core values, maybe for some people like for me, diversity is important, and identifying things about the company and what type of company you would like to work for. Same with your work style, and then also benchmarking profiles on LinkedIn, or just anybody in general is who you idolize. So, when you're on LinkedIn and you see someone in your field, or maybe in a company like your dream company, you can go through their profile and see what steps did they take to get to where they are now, and how can I follow that example and do similar things that they did. And eventually even, as we talked about more like the informational interviews, I can do that. So really identify people, organizations on LinkedIn that you can really base yourself off and build experiences and plan.
That's a really good point, Johnny. Like, for example, I one day aspire to be a director for career services. It's advantageous for me to look at other individuals that are in that role and look at their LinkedIn profiles. Identify not only where my skills and experiences align, but where it doesn't align. What are the missing skills, knowledge, experiences, the hard and soft things that I need to be knowing to get to that point? And benchmarking. Because if you can accurately assess where you want to go and what you need to get there, then you could start realizing what you need to be working on during this time. And there's a lot of things that we're going to be talking about that, but it's always good to start benchmarking positions 5 to 10 years down the road so that you could almost follow your own yellow brick road to the goals that you have set for yourself.
Absolutely. And then lastly, know your non-negotiables. This is so important. So for me, when I graduated, I knew I wanted to stay in Florida. So South Florida, that made my search so much easier because I could streamline all my attention in towards, Florida positions. You may know, okay, salary, I don't want to make less than this. Okay, so, maybe this role, you don't have the experience yet for this role and you need a few years to, to work in entry-level position. So really identifying your non-negotiables is going to help you so much and make it clear so you can streamline your search accurately. All right. So most important is doing all this, staying organized. So we talked about, making a checklist of your non-negotiables. Keep track of those, because especially if, as you're networking and you're talking to people in your field, hey, I'm looking for a job, maybe even them knowing your non-negotiables would be great, because then they can be like, hey, I saw a position for you, Johnny, in South Florida. It looks great. So really you want to have those handy, and that's good for you as you're searching. And then also think of job alerts and creative job titles. So many of you should have like a LinkedIn or a Handshake account. A lot of those are catered towards you. They know a lot about your background and your major, and they're always recommending you different opportunities and events. So definitely keep track of those, look through them, especially as you dive deeper into it, because maybe you could find your dream job in that alert. You never know. And then having creative job titles. So, I'll relate it back to me as a marketing major in my undergrad. I was always typing marketing in my search, but there's so many other, titles. You can always put social media, advertising, promotions. So think of creative job titles, and even looking at your major and being like, all right, what kind of jobs can I do with this major? And seeing maybe other areas that you maybe have never known about that may sound interesting, and you can Google those as well. Because, and not Google, but like put them in LinkedIn and in Handshake and Indeed. So there's a lot you can do with that. Or in your gap year and you're looking for experience and like pre-health, you don't just type in health, you can put in scribe, medical assistant, all different things that you can do to build experience. Let's say you're taking a gap year and trying to get some work before maybe a professional program such as med school or dental school. Are there any certificates or hard skills you can build? So that's huge. As you're benchmarking profiles, looking through different job descriptions, identifying, hey, they have this skill on there that I'm not 100% confident in. How can I build it? Hello? Do you have a question? Okay, no worries. So there's a lot of resources on LinkedIn. You can do LinkedIn Learning. I know the Tutoring and Testing Center at Nova has like opportunities, and just really using your resources on how you can build those skills. Like, for example, when I graduated, I would always put Excel on my resume, and then I saw that it was in every job. And I'm like, honestly, I'm not really 100% confident. So I went out and I did a training course and made sure I was really confident before applying to a job. And then just any certificates. If a job requires a certain certification, definitely look early before you apply on how you can build certificates and get certified. So that's really important stuff to consider as you're planning. As you're collecting, job descriptions, save those job descriptions. Don't let them, because as you apply, they can be taken down, and then it could be something you want to reference maybe before your interview or as you're working, on other documents. So very important to save them. Then define your goals through self-reflection and self-assessments. Some of us, it might be hard to identify our skills. Like for me, sometimes it's hard to talk about myself. So using a platform such as like Focus the Career would be a great way to, answer some questions, and then it really focuses in and zeroes in on your skills and what they think your skills are. So that can really, while it's not the be all end all, it's a good way to kind of kickstart you in thinking about what your skills and strengths are as well. And also on Focus the Career, there is an option where you can put in your major, and it will show you every type of career, that job that you can do with it. And if you click on that job, it'll show you every step how to get there, any certifications you need, your education, what your skills should be. So there's tons of things you can do. So when we send this PowerPoint to you guys, I'll also send the link to Focus the Career in there as well. All right, so creating a job search game plan. We can help with most of that, I'll tell you that. So what we can assist you is, cover letter and resume development. So, when you have a job description or industry you're interested in, we can really help you build that resume, really streamline it towards that job or industry you're interested in. So that's a great option you could do with us. And then a great one we have is interview preparation. If you have an appointment and do an interview preparation appointment, do a mock interview, which is awesome. So let's say you have a job description or a company that you ideally want to work for. Our career advisors can make a whole mock interview based on that company and that job description and hold a real like mock interview, just like it was a normal interview. And then at the end, we'll give you feedback. That's a great way to prepare early for an interview. And then we have our job and internship search strategies. So in appointments, we can definitely go over that, how to search, how to use keywords in searching and being strategic, and how to stay organized and to save the job descriptions. We recommend making an Excel document to keep track of every position you applied for, you're interested in, so you know a little bit about them and not surprised if they call you after you apply. And just little things like, having your voicemail on your phone set up in case they call you. So we'll definitely go over a lot of things to make sure, you're ready to search and have everything organized and prepared. And then our employee relations team, which Emilio heads, is amazing. And he's going to talk more about how he can refer your resume to different employers that you're interested in. Then we also have our industry resume books, which is actually going to, Emilio, if you don't mind, stop sharing screen. I'm going to pull those up so everyone can see them on Handshake and how they can apply. Perfect.
And what Johnny mentioned is some really good points. Meeting with an advisor is not just to work on your resume, it's to create a game plan. And a lot of times it's hard to be objective with yourself. You may think, well, I'm eligible for all these jobs, or I deserve these jobs. And I think working with an advisor helps you accurately identify, what am I not selling on my resume, in my interviews, in my approach? Am I coming off too negative talking about maybe a experience on your resume? And also, he talked a lot about identifying those skill gaps, especially now. This is a great thing. Leverage LinkedIn Learning, leverage the Alvin Sherman Library, or learn on yourself. If you look at a job that's asking you for Excel skills and they're mentioning the type of Excel functions they want you to know, you don't have to develop those skills just in a work setting. If you learn that on your own through YouTube tutorials or doing trainings on the side, like through LinkedIn Learning, all they want to know is, can you do the task? And so there's a lot of things you can leverage. So many times students omit, or they lump in like Excel with Microsoft Office, or they don't specify the specific skills that they have on their resume, and it hinders them. And leveraging project work is a key way that you can connect the dots to the employer, that you can add value, especially for some entry-level roles.
Absolutely. Emilio, can you give me a screen sharing capability?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, Johnny.
Oh, no worries. So this is the view inside Handshake, which if you are unfamiliar with Handshake, we are going to do an overview over it later in this presentation. But when you're in Handshake, you can find our resume books just in the job section, just like this, like you're looking for a normal job, and you can type in resume book. And then you can see we have for all different industries, for jobs and internships. So not just one, but for each. So we have a job psychology, we have an internships resume book. So let's click on one of these. Well, let's do jobs since we're doing job search. So here's the job one. Go through. Here's when it expires. So you can see you can submit it before then. A little bit about it. And then all you would do is click apply. And it already has my resume on file here, but whichever resume you add onto Handshake, you submit it. Then this is shared with employers in that industry who are currently looking to hire, who are actively recruiting. So this is a great avenue, and I recommend all of you doing this. So that's a great first step after you get your resume, fixed up and everything, if it's not already. So this is a great avenue, and definitely take advantage of it. All right, so we got resume books, and then for some of us, we may feel like, oh, do I have enough experience, to work a full-time job, get hired? If you feel that way and you feel like you want to add more to your resume, remember you always leverage your project work from academic classes. So I'll go back to me again. Like when I was a marketing major and I graduated, I felt like I didn't do enough internships and things in my undergrad. So I was able to think about my projects, and I said, hey, you know what? I created a whole marketing plan for a company, like just like I was a professional. And I put that in my resume, and it was a great selling point, and it was something I talked about in interviews. So definitely, whether you're in health or business, it doesn't matter. Everyone has projects that they can really take transferable skills from and sell on their resume and in an interview. And like I said before, review job descriptions. That's the best learning point. Identify those skills, see what you need to work on, and maybe as you're working on your resume, you may see something in that job description and be like, hey, I actually know how to do that. Let me add that to my resume. So that's the most important thing. Save these job descriptions, look them over, because it's going to be such an ally during this job searching process.
Guys, recruiters only look at your resume for about 15 seconds. So if you want to check out and see if your resume is doing its job, I want you to pull up 5 job descriptions in the industries you're looking for. I want you to put your hiring manager's hat on and think, if I was the hiring manager for this job or these jobs, what would I be looking for in these positions? Skills, knowledge, experience, technical knowledge, intangibles. Write everything you would be looking for down, a whole little list.
Mm-hmm.
You want to either yourself or have a friend do it. Hand them your resume and this list and give them, I already mentioned, employers look at this for only 15 seconds. Give your friend or yourself 2 minutes. And every time you find somewhere on your resume where you identify those skills, those experiences, that whole list, put a little check next to it. If at the end of those 2 minutes, most of that list is unchecked, the question would have been, would you have hired yourself or would you have called yourself in for an interview? And it's a good way of being objective, because all the time when you put in resumes, you're like, oh, tweaking my resume is hard. I don't want to do this for every job. I'm just going to apply and see if they call me. Guess what? That hiring manager or that HR representative has a ton of resumes that have been geared to the position. And since they don't know you, they're going based on what your resume is telling them. Don't take yourself out of the job search just in that first round. I know it seems like a lot of work tweaking your resumes, updating it, but it goes a long way to get you getting called, because no one gets hired for a resume. We get hired based on the interview, but the resume is the first gatekeeper. And it's usually the one that hinders most applicants, because they assume or they hope that the employer is going to connect the dots for them. They're not objective enough or not specific enough on their document.
And it's so important to just go that extra mile. There's no harm in, if you need to make a few tweaks to that resume to really focus it towards that role you're applying for, take that extra 10 minutes, because you'd rather, take 10 minutes and get the interview and not take those 10 minutes to make some changes and not get the interview. So it's so important, and go the extra mile, even making a cover letter. And for some students, even for me, like, oh my God, cover letter. But, that's, like Amelia said, they get tons of resumes. They look over those fast, and sometimes they don't know who to choose. Like, you can only pick this certain number. Oh, this one has a cover letter. Let's check it out. Let's read about them. And it's almost like having a pre-interview in sort of a way. So definitely go the extra mile. Make sure everything's really specialized for every role. And just take the time, because it will pay off. I promise you that.
Some great points, Johnny.
All right. So another way, besides building up your documents, is building your presence. Going to networking events, building your presence online. That is so important, especially during this age, during COVID-19, which we're not out in public anymore. We're all working from home. A lot of things are virtual. So take advantage of every avenue that's out there to stay connected with different colleagues and even students you may have graduated with, because you never know, that student that was in your class for your dream business, and that could almost be your referral. So it's so important. Stay connected, stay warm. Best one is LinkedIn. It's a great way to connect with professionals and promote your professional image online. So it's literally a website to sell yourself. That's it, to show off how great you are, how you're great in this field. So take advantage of that. And not only that, you can learn so much on LinkedIn. Not only your website and your colleagues are sending posting messages about trends and news about an industry. So it's a great way to keep up to date. Different people, engage with you on there. You have meaningful connections, and a lot of people look at your profile and be like, hey, if you keep it up to date, someone can be like, hey, this could be a good for our position, our company. So you never know. That's why always keep it up to date, because you never know who's looking. And then especially when you're applying for a job and you had your interview, they're going to look you up online, and having a nice LinkedIn always goes a long way. Not only that, you can look for jobs on LinkedIn, just like Handshake, Indeed. They have a whole specialized, so you can look for internships, jobs, so it's great. And they also have groups that you can join, professional groups. So, you know, they could be like, group for managers, future managers. Definitely could connect with other people, and they share articles about their company, maybe even info sessions to learn about their company, or just even asking for career advice. So there's so many great groups on LinkedIn that you can join. So if anyone doesn't have a LinkedIn made, I recommend making one. And if you don't know how to make one, that's also something we can do as an appointment in our office, is work with you together and build a LinkedIn profile. And then we have NSU Connect, which we have the website right there. Is a great way to connect with your fellow alumni, especially, you know, like I said before, you don't know where they're working at, and they could be working at your dream company. And I know there's a lot of alumni on there that offer to help with fellow alumni with, you know, career goals or anything like that. So a lot of great resources on NSU Connect, and I definitely recommend checking it out.
All right. So, and Johnny prefaces perfectly, because LinkedIn is one of those job search resources, but we're going to talk about a lot of other ones. We're actually going to show you how to find jobs on Handshake, on LinkedIn, but then talk about other databases that are available to you as students and how valuable they are. And then we're going to talk a little bit about ones that we find on some other resources we send out. But I wanted to start off by reintroducing myself and my team. So we have an entire employee relations team, part of our office here at CAPS. And our focus, myself and my assistant director, Naima Butler, we focus on building those relationships with employers. I wanted you to see who we are, because although we don't advise students, we advocate on your behalf. And so we send referrals directly to employers on your behalf. And we work to make sure that we're giving you an edge in the job search. So things that we do, I've already mentioned, we build relationships with employers, we develop opportunities, we manage our Handshake platform, we host and develop opportunities, including our Recruit a Shark career fairs. And this year, our career fairs are going to be industry focused, which I'll talk about a little bit. We host a variety of events, and now we're hosting those events virtually, from resume reviews to information sessions to case competitions, employer visits, on-campus interviews onwards. Johnny already mentioned resume books, another great way to leverage and put your name out there. We send newsletters every month. So we send our Mako career newsletter, which is based on industry. We send our Sharks Uncaged newsletter in the spring, and we'll talk more about those. Hot jobs and employer spotlights get sent daily. And then I reiterate student referrals. This is not something that we say one-off. This morning, I sent 2 emails to employers on students' behalf for positions they applied for that they were eligible for. So I send that employer an email. If I don't know the employer, I introduce myself. I mentioned that I had a student who's been working with an advisor and is recommended by faculty and advisors for this role. I then mentioned, and the more detailed you are in your resume and cover letter, the more I can include in that email. If you have a cover letter, I can take a few sentences from that and be able to redo them and talk about your fit for the position. But these referrals go a long way. They won't get you the job, but they have a better chance of getting you the interview. Now, what is Handshake? So that's our main career platform. It's the top career platform used around the country. And it's because we're on there with other top universities and we share employers. So Handshake is not just a local job database, but it's a national database. So you can find opportunities in California, New York, South Florida, you name it. It also is the largest network for career services and recruiting professionals. So these are where employers are mostly visible. This is where they like to post. This is where they like to recruit students. Outside of LinkedIn, this and LinkedIn should be the 2 main platforms you use. Indeed would probably be in a close third, but Handshake is one where we have a relationship with these employers. Also, don't hesitate to send referrals our way that are outside of Handshake, because an employer may only post it on one site, but that doesn't mean that we don't have a contact at that location. Handshake is also user-friendly. It creates a profile for yourself because it has smart analytics. So the more you use it, the more accurate recommendations are when you enter Handshake. And I've already talked about it. It's jobs and internships across the country. You can see stats in this image I have here. 100% of Fortune 500 companies are on Handshake. There's over 300,000 employers of all different shapes and sizes on the platform. So again, it's only of benefit to you to be able to use this platform, and it represents all different industries. So it's not just limited to business or healthcare, it's everywhere.
All right, so I'm going to talk about the various, newsletters and emails that we send out to students. So first is our Mako career newsletter, which Emilio kind of touched on, which is a industry-specific career newsletter. So it has jobs, shows different trends, and various, job search platforms and things that you can use. So I'm going to share screen again, and I'm going to show you guys the Mako newsletter. These are great. Also, another, just like resume books, a great first step in your job search. Just go through those, and so let me share. So here's what a Mako career newsletter looks like. You go through it, how to schedule an appointment with us, talk about steps to do resume books. This is the psychology edition. So you'll have, some different webinars. This is a one, so this event passed, but
This is one of our old newsletters, but we'll have a new edition coming out in the 3rd week of August.
Mm-hmm. So all these great resources.
Yeah.
Then this is the awesome part. This is the opportunity section. So we have internships, jobs, all in that field. And we have one for industry, which will be going out. So there's tons of opportunities. This is a great kickoff start point for when you're searching and identifying jobs, and maybe this job descriptions you want to look at. And then just lots of trends and news. So this is like a great one-stop shop for job and internship search as you're beginning your search. Or if you're currently in the search, this could definitely help you. So either way. And then our other one we have is our Uncaged newsletter. This one we put out in the spring, so it won't come out for a few months, but it's opportunities that are all over the country. So it has for every major. So we have 3 editions: Northeast, West Coast, and Midwest edition. And the Mako opportunities usually cover more of the South Florida region, but we do add a few out of the country if they're really good opportunities. This is great for those of you who are, not in Florida. Maybe live on the West Coast. You have tons of California opportunities, all different areas. So definitely another great avenue in the spring to check out when you're job searching. All right.
So let me go back to the PowerPoint real quick, guys. So Johnny talked about our 2 newsletters. The other way that we send out opportunities is employer spotlights. And so weekly, we work with employers and they tell us, hey, this position we haven't got a lot of applicants for, or it's a great opportunity and we just posted it. I schedule an email blast that comes from Handshake to promote that. So I'm going to show you guys a quick example of what that looks like on Handshake. PowerPoint and then show you guys what I was talking about. So here's just a sample of one that got sent earlier this week. It's for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, a student trainee pathways program. So The email you'll get is from Handshake. It'll say from Center for Academic and Professional Success. It'll have the summary, responsibilities, and then a direct link of how to apply. So we do this all the time. And even after you apply, if you wanted to reach out to me or your advisor to get a referral put in on your behalf, that's something that we could definitely do. But this is just one tool and one available to you. And there's just these three options are just ways that we try to keep students and alumni informed on what we have available and what employers have available.
And to answer the question in the chat, so those newsletters you don't have to sign up for. We do send them to all current students and alumni. And if you don't have to get it, at the end of this presentation, we have a phone number that you can call and you can say, hey, and then someone can reach out to us and get your email and send them to you. So
if you're not getting them, please let us know. We send it out at when it is the week. It's usually the third week of every month. And we'll send it off at the beginning of the week through to your personal email from our front desk email. But then later on in the week, we send it through Handshake just to make sure you're getting it. So let us know, and we can definitely work with you on that. Perfect. So yeah, I mean, we just spent other things. Here are some other websites that could be helpful for the job and internship search. I'm not the biggest fan of Career Builder, but I like to mention it because I do know individuals that do have some luck there. My biggest issue with Career Builder is that there's no one vetting these opportunities. So many times positions are getting posted and you're like, I haven't heard back, or you have positions there that never expire. And so it's frustrating when you apply to a lot of opportunities on a system that you're not getting feedback on. But some of the other ones, we've already talked about Handshake and LinkedIn. I think Indeed is a strong one. Also looking at opportunities under the State Department, also check internships, formerly internships.com. Glassdoor is another one, the Muse. But take your time going through each of these. Maybe one of them wouldn't be a good fit, but maybe others are. But always start with Handshake, LinkedIn, Indeed, and then work your way through others. And then here, we have other databases that are more industry specific. Like for example, if you're looking for government jobs, USA Jobs is your best platform for that. I've already talked about Glassdoor. Let's say right now you have a job or you're job searching, but you want to make a little bit of money right away, or as you're searching, you want to gain experience. Parker Dewey is a great platform for that. This is where employers can post project-based work. So they might post something for like a 2-week project and you get, a certain amount of money, and then you work on that project for those 2 weeks. So Parker is great, and it's all types of employers, even Fortune 500 that post things, and it might be like fix a website for a week, or work on a marketing plan, or we need an educational plan, or a proposal for X. This is another way of gaining that experience. The pay is pretty good. And again, it's another way to build yourself up. And it's things that can be added to your resume. So it wouldn't be an opportunity that would be full-time, but it would be something that would be selling points. .gov, HOSA.org, great pre-health websites, National Athletic Trainers Organizations, if you're an exercise science student, athletic training students. It's an anonymous networking and searching database. It's a way where your name wouldn't be disclosed until you and employer realize that you guys are a match. But it's free service for you as students. Pathways to Science, if you're looking to get into the research. Psychologyjobs.com. That would be another one great to be able to find psychology opportunities, whether you're an undergrad or graduate. Eco Jobs and Marine Career Database, U.S. Fish and Wildlife. If you're a marine and environmental science students, in addition to the databases we've talked about, those three would be huge for you. National Science Foundation. This is opportunities for any science-based, psychology-based student. If you're looking to get research or look at programs that are over the summer, this could be great for you. Schoolspring.com. This is another one for education majors. Nurse Finder, I think it speaks for itself. Nursing opportunities. Sumo. So this one, separate from Parker Dewey, these are like case competitions and challenges where it's like the best proposal wins. And so they've had all different types of things like how do you market in the movie business during COVID-19, or how are you going to create a marketing plan to get Generation X excited, all different types. The top proposal gets paid and they use your idea. It's a great resume builder, and it's a great way to almost play a little bit of Shark Tank in your career. And then finally, higheredjobs.com, also academic360.com. Both of those are, if you're in the higher ed job search, could be beneficial for you. So like if you're looking for a career development job, that would be a great site to be able to look for those things. Johnny, is this me?
Yes, and then, yeah.
Perfect. So we're going to be talking about some keywords, and then we're going to show you how to do some of these things. But remember when you're job searching, and Johnny mentioned it earlier, don't just use the same keyword every time. Marketing, marketing, marketing. Try different keywords, industry-specific skills. Understand that you got to use different job titles to find what you're looking for. And when you're looking for these jobs, those industry-specific skills, tools, and jargon, try to incorporate that in your own resume. Just if they're using those words, it's not by accident. Try to emulate the words that they're using, because a lot of times when you apply, especially today, your resume, before it gets to HR, it's going through a computerized system that is actually looking for some of those same keywords. So it's going to help you pass that first round in the application. And then I just mentioned using different keywords for the industry you're going for, and then looking for different types of opportunities. Right now, you may be looking for a full-time opportunity, but if it takes you a month or two to find that job, in the meantime, doing project-based work through Parker Dewey, those case competitions or internships or part-time, it's only going to make you a more attractive applicant, and it's still going to give you some financial gain in the meantime. So these are things that you could be able to do.
So I can jump in.
Oh, perfect, Johnny.
Perfect. So I'm going to show you guys now on Handshake how to like search properly, use keywords, and just how to navigate your search on Handshake. So I'm going to share screen real quick again. Let me just pull up Handshake. So for those of you, so for Handshake, let me just let you know if you had a Handshake as an undergrad and you're now an alumni, you'll still have access to it. If you're an alumni and don't have access to Handshake, you can definitely call our front desk and we can get that set up for you. So, and I just want to let you know, going back to our appointments too, just in general, whether you graduated May 2020 or you're like the NSU class of 1964, you have access to Handshake, you have access to all our appointments. So I just want to make that clear as well. So how can we search on Handshake? So we'll go jobs. While to load. So then we have this search area over here. So let's just say, Emilio used social media as an example as a keyword for marketing. So we can put social media. You have all these, different opportunities popping up. You have all these great filters. You can do location. So you put in a location, and then from like that location, you could put distance. Let's say I put maybe Fort Lauderdale. You got all these different interns, coordinator, all these great jobs. And you can, let's say you want to work, right next door to your house. You put a mile. If you're open, moving to other places, you can really play around with that distance. So Handshake's really user-friendly. And then you can just do the filters. If you want a full-time job, you put this full-time job. Social media manager, there you go. You got a full-time job right there. You can unclick it. You can do internship if you're looking to get internship experience. So so many cool things. And something I love about Handshake is going back to that staying organized piece is you can save that job. So this is cool. Let's say I want to be social media coordinator. Before I do that, here's a little description, your responsibilities. So they got everything in here. And you can see when it expires the job, so you know when to apply. Then if you go here, you just hit that, and that'll save the job. So if you want to go back to it, you can apply. And also you'll get emails from Handshake saying, hey, job is about to expire. Do you want to apply? And then you can see that right here in your saved jobs. And then you have it right there, easy to, there's a way to keep track and stay organized. And then if you want to apply, it's a very easy applying process. Attach your resume, attach your cover letter, submit application. That's what I love about Handshake. No crazy steps. You know, I know for some of us, putting in every detail again of your resume into something, Handshake's super user friendly. So there's a little overview of Handshake.
And sometimes Handshake, an HR person will post it there, but when you hit click apply, it's going to take you to their HR database. Make sure you fill that all out. I know it's tedious, but if you don't, you're not going to get called for the opportunity.
And definitely when you're on Handshake, if you see a company that maybe is not hiring a position you're currently super interested, but you love the company, definitely go to those companies' websites and see what they have on there, because they may not post everything on Handshake, LinkedIn. So definitely go through and see what company, identify companies that like are your top companies or dream companies, and go to their websites as well. You don't only have to use these search platforms.
Perfect. Guys, I know we're about 10 minutes left, so I want to make sure we can cover everything else in our presentation. If there's more questions about how to use some of these databases we've talked about, remember, make an appointment with an advisor, as we can definitely kind of walk you through how to navigate any of the databases we've talked about and make it very specific to your own job search. I did want to talk about our upcoming career fair. So normally our career fairs have been once a semester, and they've involved all different industries. We actually did it a little bit different this year, and we broke up our career fairs by industry. So instead of one career fair, we're doing 8 career fairs a semester. And I'm going to walk you through the different ones. But this is an ideal avenue for you to do jobs, internships, research opportunities, and volunteer work. These career fairs are thrown by CAPS, our office, and then the individual NSU colleges. So it's a group collaboration to make these successful. And then finally, at the end of that week, we're doing a graduate and professional school fair. So if you are thinking about graduate school, post-grad options, this would be another way to explore it. As a student, and I'm going to walk you through it, how to find the career fair information, and how do I know who's coming, how do I sign up, all those pieces. So this is what you see when you sign into Handshake as a student. I'm going to go ahead and click on the events right at the top. And then here it shows all of our events, but I'm going to click on the tab that says career fairs. And here you can see we have different career fairs. We have one geared towards pre-health, exercise science, psychology, and nonprofits. We have one geared for marine and environmental. We actually have 2 for pre-health, I'm sorry. We have one for management, real estate, HR, one for computing and engineering, another one for government, humanity, and education, the other one for communication, marketing, and PVA. And then finally, one for accounting, finances, and decision sciences. So you can see pretty well-rounded. If you're curious, well, who's attending or who's going to be in attendance for these fairs? I'm just going to click one as an example here. And these are all being held virtually. So you don't have to come in person. It's an entire virtual fair. You scroll on down, it'll tell you who's attending. You'll hit show all employers. Now, employers are going to set their availability for this fair. And once they do, you're going to see time slots here where you could actually click and sign up for it. But you could see just for marine sciences, you can see we have about 14 employers currently signed up. We're expecting over 20 for each one. And there's one for every single area you might be interested in, working with the zoos, National Park Service, Guy Harvey Oceanographic Center, Save the Water, Sawgrass Nature Center. You know, there's really something here for everyone. And so you could do the same thing for all of your other fairs. Just so you can get an idea of how to sign up for these fairs. I know I mentioned, I'm just going to use this test one as an example. And if I look at the employer, I could already take a look at some of the sessions they have available. I guess we haven't had it posted, but within the next few weeks, you're going to be able to start signing up for some of these employer sessions. But this is a great way to get in front of employers, learn about opportunities they have available, and apply strategically. So now we're going to talk a little bit about networking and how to kind of get your name out there. Johnny, is this me again?
So I was muted. What is networking? So building meaningful connections that are mutually beneficial. It's a lifelong process. It's not just for finding a job. You know, some people that you network with could be like a mentor, someone who gives you advice on your career, not someone who's just going to give you a job. So much you can do with that. And it goes beyond, you know, connecting people in your field, you know, building trust, and it can be done online, including social media. So go to the next slide. Can you hit next slide, Amelia?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So going off social media, so where to network, you know, especially right now during COVID-19, you know, we talked previously about LinkedIn. They have all those different groups and, you know, news articles about trends and people you can connect with that in a similar field, even which we'll talk about more, having an informational interview. Then there's so many professional associations. You know, I know on that Focus a Career platform, when you type in a job that we talked about and they show you, you know, what skills you need, what education, they also show related professional associations. So those are definitely ones you can join to be, you know, networking with people in your field. And crazy enough, social media has a lot of great groups. I mean, Facebook has so many professional groups, South Florida managers, New York managers. There's so many different organizations you can join. And then Handshake. So many ways to network. We have, you know, Amelia talked a little about like information sessions. We'll have companies come on and they're a little bit smaller scale. So you really get like have personal time with that employer to talk about your skills and your past, and they tell you about their opportunities. We have like networking roundtable events and different mock interview nights with employers. So our office offers so many avenues to network. So a lot of great stuff on Handshake and in our office. All right. So what is an informational interview? It's a highly focused conversation with network contacts designed to launch or boost your career and learn about a desired field.
Yeah, informational interviews, guys, can be your secret weapon. If you're interested in getting your foot in the door in an organization that right now isn't hiring, do an informational interview with someone that you could see yourself in, like the shoes that you could see them, or someone that is a key stakeholder. It's a great way to learn more about the industry. It's a great way to sit down with that person and ask them, hey, what do you look for in your organization? Tell me about your organization. How did you get your foot in the door? What was your journey to this point? Informational interviews is a key way to find research, shadowing opportunities, but it's also strategic. Like, for example, over 10 years before I was working for the university, I did informational interviews with people that were director level positions, and in positions I could see myself 10 or more years down the line. And knowing, I asked them about positions that were entry level to get in the foot in the door. Now, I wasn't job searching, and I wasn't trying to make it seem I was using this for job searching, but I used it as information gathering, finding and a way for them to get to know me and me to get to know them. So if a position did open up down the road, not only do I know more about the industry and what they're looking for in that organization, but I also was able to leverage a relationship because I was no longer another number on a resume. They knew the individual behind it. So informational interviews can have a lot of effects on your own job search and your own network. Stay engaged. Guys, COVID-19 has affected a lot of different things, but the industry has adapted, and all employers are very active with virtual events, virtual information sessions, virtual career fairs. And you as an alumni or student have access to all 8 of our career fairs. This is huge for you to be able to get your foot in the door, network, build relationships, and plan ahead. And for a complete list of events outside of just our career fair, go on Handshake, because not only do we approve events that are thrown by like our Center for Academic and Professional Success, but we also approve events that are thrown externally by top employers. And when you're preparing for the virtual fair, just some key tips. You saw you can research companies beforehand, so you could do your homework. You can update your resume with a career advisor. You can prepare for online chats or video discussions, because many career fairs have a combination of both. Ours is strictly just video chats, but there's a lot of virtual fairs out there. Making sure you're checking your technology, you're dressed professionally, you have questions prepared for the employers, and you make your environment as professional as possible so it's not distracting for you or the employer.
A lot of those same things go into virtual interviews. You know, while COVID's going on, we are going to have to do, you know, a lot of the time virtual interviews. So definitely what Emilio said about having a technology working, make sure, you know, if you're living at home, your mother doesn't come in with a vacuum or something like that. Definitely have all that prepared, make sure your Wi-Fi is working, and just, you know, staying engaged and having, you know, good posture. And one mistake I make is looking into the camera, like the screen, but not looking into the actual webcam. So it looks like I'm looking away. So be aware of things like that, and really tell yourself. And I like to say story tell. You know, when they ask you to give an example, tell that story. You know, maybe you solve conflict, show how you did it, you know, what happened and what it resulted in and how you fixed it. And, you know, just for the sake of time, I'll go over it. You get lots of questions, you know, straightforward. What are your positive qualities? What are your shortcomings? You know, they'll ask you to past actions to help predict how you act in the future. So that's where you can really story tell. Sometimes, you know, they'll ask you a question maybe related to the role, like how will you handle this? The most important thing is to talk slow, you know, and it's just think, you can take a minute to pause and be like, all right, let me think a second and say. You don't have to jump into something, because that's when you jump into something, you can get stuck and then be like, oh my God, midway, what am I saying like right now? So that's why, you know, if that happens, you know, finish your thought and then just go into something else. So don't really like jump around. That's important. And you may get questions on your skills on, you know, if you're in a certain field like math and reasoning, like just be ready for that and just take it slow and be yourself, and, you know, don't be nervous. And it's so important. And then at the end of the interview, you know, definitely have questions, just like an interview in person or online. Have questions and just end on a strong note. Follow up, you know, the next day or a few hours later with that employer. Thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. So say just like a normal interview, but really the important piece is having your Zoom, and however you do it, just set up nice, and you're really focused and locked in there, because it can be hard on Zoom.
Guys, you know, we're wrapping up here, but I think it's important to know, and the Corona and COVID has affected all of us in different ways, and definitely affected a lot of people in losing their job or having a difficult job search. But remember that one day will end, and that you have to stay optimistic. The only thing you can control is what you can control. And today we talked a lot about resources, databases, approaches, best tips. And these are all things that you can control in your approach. But don't stop your job search just because there's a lot of negativity out there or it's difficult. You don't want to use that as a crutch. You want to make sure you're putting your name out there for when things do pick up or opportunities that are available. Your resume to job and internships keeps your resume circulating. Invest in yourself through trainings, developments, and know that you have various support networks. And as an alumni at NSU, you have an edge. You know, office is always available to you to support you throughout this, and understanding that you have that. How do I make an appointment with an advisor? That's a great question. That kind of leads us into our next slide. You can call our front desk, or you can go ahead and you can schedule an appointment. We're working on online appointments setup because we're transitioning into a new setup. So the easiest way right now would be either to email or call our front desk. And you can see we have the contact information right there. So I'll leave it on this slide so everyone can get that information. But John, I wanted to open up to see if anyone had any additional questions. Guys, if you do, you could unmute yourself. Awesome. Glad to hear it was helpful.
Yeah. And remember, once a shark, always a shark. We're here for you. So whether it's tomorrow or 10 years from now, you know, our office is here to help you and help you with all your career goals. So.
Yep. You're never sending us too many people or opportunities to refer you to. You're never bothering us. And we never take a cookie cutter approach. We care about you as an individual and we care about your next step in your career. And so any way that we can help you do that, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
So again, thank you everyone for joining us. We'll be sending out the recording from today just in case you want to look at it. We'll add it to our YouTube channel. Thank you again, everyone.